Hey everyone, we are here for a testimony about the CORE program, Hainun's marriage prep program, and we have Luke, and he's going to share a little bit about his experience in CORE. Would you like to introduce yourself just briefly?
My name's Luc Jean. I'm 21, second generation unificationist from the Boston community in the state of Massachusetts here in the US. I've been in High Noon for a little over 2 years now in my recovery journey. And yeah, thank you for reaching out.
How did you discover CORE and how did you start attending, being part of CORE?
Yeah, so originally I was a member of the High Noon Ascend program. That's how I first was introduced to High Noon. And then as I was in the year 2023 figuring out and deciding to become a blessing candidate, matching candidate. I came across this program, I think through an email, either an email or a WhatsApp message, and it was coming at the perfect time. I was thinking about the blessing, thinking about the matching, and so I pulled the trigger and registered quite quickly. It just felt like the right time to do it.
How was the program for you?
Yeah, the program was great. I participated twice. The first time, I think it was the end of 2022, beginning of 2023, and then the next time was, I believe, a bit later in 2023, close to the fall, I believe. And both programs were very good, particularly the first one, because in the first program, I uncovered a good amount about myself, good amount of fear, good amount of things that I didn't want to look at, and
Hmm.
it was a breakthrough in that respect. So core was extremely helpful in that, as well as doing it with a bunch of brothers each week, having accountability through that, through a mentor was all it was nice, especially because we were all seeking the blessing in some way or another. And so you really do feel that you're not alone. Because sometimes it may feel like that because oftentimes, at least it's kind of the culture here in the US, talking about, oh, I'm a matching candidate, I'm this, I'm that. In the past, it wasn't really a thing you do. I mean, maybe with like your close friends, but it's not something you just talk about. But in core, it's all you talk about, at least from one sense, because that's the goal that we're one of the goals that we're looking for is to be blessed in marriage. So in that case, it was really made me feel really comfortable and gave me an opportunity to really share how I was doing in this area.
You found a community of people who are all preparing for marriage and could thrive in that environment. How exactly would you say has core helped you prepare for marriage?
I think the biggest way it's helped is it helps you find out more about yourself in the readings, for example. I'll never forget it. I think it's one of the first readings. It talked about how you can't even see the fears that you have. That was a really scary thing when I first read it. Because if you can't see your fears, in other words, if you don't know what your fears are, then it's almost like how are you supposed to address your fears if you can't see them? But core is the opportunity to find those fears. As Hainun often says, like cast the light on the shadow. So that is kind of one of the biggest ways I felt I was getting prepared for marriage, especially when it comes to pornography and masturbation addiction. You want to know the full nature of it before entering marriage. Of course, it would be nice if you were completely 100% recovered, but the reality is that recovery takes many years. However, knowing the full nature of yourself is a big leg up, I feel, because then maybe you're entering a marriage and you're not fully recovered yet. Maybe you're only like halfway there, three-fourths there, whatever. But at least you can be honest with yourself and be honest with whoever you're seeking a marriage with and tell them this is really who I am. I'm not holding anything back. There's nothing hidden. But if there's something hidden, years down the road, maybe the accusation of, oh, I didn't know that about you. Why did you not tell me? Could come up, and that's not something I want. I only want that in a good way. That's really the biggest way core helped. And then I think core also helped by really tackling what heavenly intimacy and like a heavenly relationship looks like, because that's something that is not present in the culture. There's a certain way of relationships, a way of intimacy that's popular in the culture, Uh, I would argue, especially in music. Usually, religion's response to that is, "Oh no, no, like just don't, just only have sex for children, or just be very celibate and all these things." But high noon and unificationism is pretty unique because the solution is actually more of good intimacy, more of good relationships, which is pretty cool. It fits with psychology. You don't want to combat a bad thing by emphasizing it. You want to combat a bad thing by replacing it with something good. So that's what core helps you do. And that's how I felt prepared for marriage through core.
Is there anything new that you learned about sexuality during core?
I learned that sexuality is more than just act or any acts leading up to sex. Sexuality is, in one sense, an expression of yourself, your masculinity, in my case, or your passions, or your the things that you love. And I realized that it's kind of more than just like that act of sex because when you're actually engaged in that act, as the readings talk about, as the founder of Unification and Reverend Moon talks about, giving the ideal form of that kind of act is giving your full self, a total investment, but not if there's shadows, then you're not giving your full self. Or if there's parts of you that are kind of looking for more of a taking lens, that could, not be the most healthy thing. So that's one thing I learned about sexuality is that to experience it fully, we also have to cast away the shadows in other parts of our life because we're giving our full self in one sense. And so we don't want to have any shadows or negativity in that. I think it's helpful, especially when it comes to like porn and masturbation, because of course, sexuality is very different than what we read about in like Core of the Universe and other books like that. So it's a very good
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Is there anything else about your experience with core that you would like to share?
say for Core and also Ascend and other high noon programs. One of the biggest benefits is to have a mentor because when you have a mentor, you're receiving daily accountability from an additional person in your support circle or people who are supporting you in your recovery or in your prep for marriage. If you take advantage of that, which I think in the beginning I struggled to, but I think more recently, maybe even in core, I didn't fully take advantage of it. I think it's only more recently I'm taking advantage of it, like in 2024. But taking more advantage of the whole mentor aspect of High Noon now made me realize that one of the benefits of core is simply the mentor program. Daily accountability, you can really be honest, and the calls are very powerful. You're able to realize a lot about yourself. A lot of shadows are able to be shown. So I definitely recommend if anyone does core or send or any other high noon program that they really take advantage of the mentor program. Even if you haven't met the person before, in one sense, it's like, well, you don't really know them. So, I mean, why not hold back? It's like they're halfway across the world or whatever, like on WhatsApp. So just whatever you need to do to get yourself to really take full advantage of your mentor, I would highly recommend it.
Well, thank you, Luke, for your testimony about your experience in core. And we'll see everyone for the next testimony.